Nigerian Oil Union orders halt of gas supply to Dangote's refinery over mass sackings. The Nigeria Oil Workers Union has ordered an immediate halt to crude and gas deliveries to Dangote Petroleum Refinery, intensifying a labor dispute that could disrupt fuel supply in Africa's biggest economy. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria issued the directive after hundreds of workers were dismissed. In a letter dated September 26th, the union accused Dangote's management of misinformation and propaganda instead of addressing claims of wrongful termination of unionized employees. Dangote Refinery confirmed on Friday it had let go of a number of workers, citing sabotage in some units. However, they counted more than 800 Nigerian staff were fired and allegedly replaced with foreign nationals, mostly from India. Now, the PENGASSAN General Secretary has instructed members at major oil firms to shut crude oil supply waves to the refinery and halt loading of vessels for plants. The union also demanded updates from branch leaders to ensure coordinated enforcement of the shutdown. Dangote Refinery defended the dismissal, describing them as part of a restructuring to improve efficiency and safety. In a statement issued last Saturday, the company argued that no law gives the association the right to cut off gas or crude oil supplies from Dangote Refinery or interfere with its contracts with suppliers. The standoff adds fresh pressure to the $20 billion refinery, which last week announced it will suspend sales of petrol in Naira from September 28, blaming crude shortage and foreign exchange constraints. The move has highlighted fears of fuel price hikes and further strain on Nigerians' already fragile economy with national interest. We know that this dispute also challenges the global image of Nigerians' oil and gas industry. If one of Africa's biggest refineries is accused of unfair labor practices, what signal does this send to international communities about doing businesses here? Well, this is something that we really need to look at. This is something that Nigeria really needs to look at. We're looking at corporate affairs and we're looking at a union. What should come first? Which should come first? If as big as Dangote Refinery is, can wake up and sack over 800 workers and replace them with foreigners.
How much more?
How much more? That's where I'm going to, like, how much more the smaller organizations? What happens? Like, what's the hope? If this, and according to what I've said earlier, we know that Nigeria really has supported this refinery and all of that. And this is for the purpose of Nigeria, for the profit of the country. And instead of having more profits to the country, we are seeing that I would say the company has sacked over 800 workers and replaced them with foreigners, mostly Indians. Is it that they are better? Is it that they're way better than Nigerians that have been working there? Is it that it's a conflict of interest? Is it that he's trying to pay back with what the union is doing? I really do not understand this.
Obviously, this is like a fight for two elephants.
Exactly. And the ground will suffer.
Yeah. So the people suffering are the workers. And the big question is are we supposed to protect protecting investment or protecting the workers? Which should come first? And I mean, anybody who has a business looks first after their business.
Exactly.
That's the truth. You're a worker, but you're working for that business. So the business in many instances come first for a core entrepreneur, before human, before other people. And so what we should be bothered about is labor rights. And how, again, can we allow the Dangote Refinery operate? But there's something that's disturbing about this development. 800 people being sacked is a threat to their labor rights.
Exactly.
It's a huge threat to labor rights because it is constitutional to belong to labor unions, to belong to unions. We belong to the NUJ.
Yeah.
So imagine that we are told don't belong to the NUJ because you're working for Idea TV. What does that tell you? It means that the organization is not interested in protecting, your
workers'
right. Because what unions do is they help enforce the voice of their workers. People belong to union because they want to find a voice. When it is time to speak, they can speak through a medium. But then we're looking at Dangote Refinery. And at this point, are we supposed to just look at the profit? Are we supposed to just look at the economic impact, talking about how the oil and gas sector is now faring in Nigeria since the startup of the Dangote Refinery? Of course, we've seen a huge difference since the operation started. But then, this development is not nice, especially because we have the replacement did not just occur. It wasn't a suspension. It was termination and replacement. And what kind of replacement was it? It was replacement with foreigners. So that's a huge slap, first of all, to the labor union. But then again, PENGASSAN and Dangote Refinery, it's like two elephants fighting. They're fighting for something. They're fighting for supremacy over something. And the people who are bearing this brunt are the poor workers. And that is where I have a problem with. The way it's looking, it feels like if the government doesn't step in, things could get worse. And it's a bad signal to other unions. It's a bad signal to other organizations where, workers find their solace. You cannot say, do not belong to a union. Why? And I'm not sure that when these people came to start working here, they were told from the start, oh, you cannot belong to a union. Yeah,
exactly.
If you're terminating my employment because I belong to a union, it's something you should have stated from the get-go, not all of a sudden. I can just imagine how frustrating it's going to be. And we're speaking as co-workers. I mean, it's not funny, it's not interesting, but I'm hoping that they've come to a consensus. I feel like the consensus is even going to be difficult if the government doesn't step in. The government has to now step in. It's looking like a huge slap. It's looking like a huge shake-off of the oil and gas sector. And we know what can happen when the Dangote Refinery decides to shut down. If this persists, it can become a very huge fight that the refinery will have to shut down. And when it shuts down, what are we saying? Economic unrest. We'll have hikes in the prices of fuel. We'll have hikes in prices of our commodities that we do not want to keep experiencing. I mean, we are just fighting to stay afloat, and then this is happening. If we can't even fix our problems, and we're now inviting outsiders to come and fix it in Nigeria, it means we are not capable of handling certain things. And that's a bad omen. We have to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Because we know that, like, looking at this, I feel really it's a slap on our face. It's a slap to the workers, the Labour Party, or laborers rather, how that he can wake up, or the company can just rise and sack over 800 workers. This shouldn't be, and we know the economic fallout of this action. The refinery is supposed to produce fuel imports. What happens if it stays short? This is something we should also ask ourselves. What happens if it stays short? Fertilizer shutdown could really hit agriculture and also food prices. This is something we need to look at also. And could this crisis really increase the price of fuel? Because I feel, or as it is on the news, that people are scared of fuel hike in price and probably scarcity. Because I asked yesterday, okay, what was the price of fuel? And I was told that fuel price has increased. So if we are actually complaining about the increment in fuel price, and this is also coming up, and we know that this shutdown would also lead to scarcity of fuel, then what happens to the people, what happens to Nigerians, is a big question we are really asking. And we know that the governance and labor law needs to take really action, need to take drastic measures, and need to be fast about this so it doesn't destroy a whole lot. And as a business person, we know that time is of great value, where you need to have your investments, where you need to produce, when you need to sell off. Once you're not able to meet up with this target, it would affect the business. So certainly, it's really going to affect Dangote's refinery, and the ground will suffer or would feel the impact. That's Nigerians will feel the impact, not just Nigerians, because we know that we're beginning to export. So other people would also, even other countries will feel the impact. So we feel that this is something that the government should really look into. It shouldn't be more of a part also between the union and Dangote's refinery. I don't think there's anything to tussle. I don't think there's anybody that needs to show I am stronger or I am more superior. I feel everyone should have this human feeling that whatever decision I make or whatever decision I'm taking today, there are people who would feel the impact of this, and we're already feeling it. Looking at the price hike from yesterday and today, hopefully we don't get to see queues in fuel stations. So we are the ones suffering it, and this is something that they really need to look into. Really need to look into. Or are we saying the limits of government's regulation when companies become too big to touch? Because I feel the union is one big one that's the government may be big to touch, and then Dangote is also a bigger one, or a big one too. We don't know who is bigger. Dangote is also a big one. Dangote Refinery is also a big one. So what will the government do? This is we saying that the government should really act and act fast. They should act and act fast. Now, there's a big question. Is this shutdown a victory for Nigerian workers, showing that their voice matter? Or is it a dangerous move that could hurt the economy and ordinary citizen? It's actually a big question that you also should answer. I feel the workers will be excited that, okay, our voice now matters. You can't just wake up and sack us. So that means they can hear our voice matter, our voice counts. On the other hand, we're looking at our economy. We know what's been happening with the economy of late, and this would also affect the economy. So it's like a comparison or a fight, A versus B, who wins. But this is we saying we wouldn't want an A versus B. We want both coming together and coming to a conclusion. This is what you have done, because I feel the union has they're a little bit lenient to what they have done, saying that once Dangote Refinery is able to recall the workers that has been dismissed, then they would stop the strike. And I feel this is something he should also buy into. They did not do anything. We
How
know
would you know? You know what he's saying? He's actually saying that
they joined the union.
apart from joining the union, that there was sabotage in some units, and we do not have access to that kind of information. We don't know what kind of sabotage happened. So apart from just joining the union, there was a sabotage according to Dangote, and which is why they sacked them. So you understand that certain organizations have things that they call, you cannot do.
Yeah.
They have like a structure. But I think it would be very important to sort of let the public know. Because what the workers are saying is that it's because they joined the union. So if that is not the case, what exactly is the case? That should be, the answer that we'd get from Dangote.
All right. So as we follow this developing story, one thing is clear. The Dangote versus the union standoff is more than a shutdown. We know this is a test of Nigerians' labor law, economic resilience, and corporate responsibility. And this is something they really need to look at. We really need to look at. But as we keep our fingers crossed to see what the results will be, we just really hope, we're staying on the positive, that the results will favor both parties, I would say, would favor both, and then would also favor Nigerians. But we have to come to the end of the discussion. But certainly would always let you know what the conclusion is, what happens next, what is happening.
Exactly. And your voice matters to us. So we would like to read from you, would like to get your thoughts on the discussion segments. Social media platforms are displayed on the screen, so do also reach out to us with your thoughts, your opinion. What's your say? Dangote, PENGASSAN, whatever it is, we like to read from you. But until we come your way next time, this is the much we can take. I have been Chinatu Oji, and I've been with
Miracle will be.
And we are saying bye for now.